Okay, guys, I am back on the air. Just wanted to, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, maybe 15, 20 minutes or so, knocking out a few more form questions. But what I wanted to do is follow up on some of the problems I was having this morning. I don't know if you remember, but I'd go to reply to messages and my editing buttons were gone, and there was all kinds of bad things going on. My at tagging wasn't working, my macros weren't working. It was a real pain. I just got in touch with Charles Sterling, Chuck, and he helped me get it all sorted out. And it turned out, we got support involved, and it turns out that they went through an upgrade or something last night for lithium, and apparently you can fix the problem fairly easy. So I actually posted on the community forum site how to fix it, and it turns out it's just as easy as clearing your browser cache. You don't have to clear history or anything else. So that is a huge relief. It's glad that's working because that was a real pain. So anyway, I am back out here, and you can see we've got some notifications, and we've got some form questions that are unanswered, quite a few of them. A lot of activity though. Um, so let's take a look here and see what we've got. Slicer parameter in DAX, and then need help grand total is not correct for first half. I just answered that one actually, so we'll see if built off of Salesforce logic has never been an issue before. I understand that the totals row doesn't have a unique value, but I built this so that it can only give me the numbers that apply. Just don't understand why this technique has always worked before, not now. So basically this question was this. Um, Essentially he's got, everything's correct. Check against Salesforce, and his line totals are all correct, but his total column down here incorrect. So that is a classic measure total problem. And so that's what basically what I've got a macro for that, right? And the macro posts this data. So basically, it says I have a article um, that talks about measure totals and then I have my quick measure totals the final word that fixes it. And so what he's coming back with is, hey, I don't understand as far as why this measure is broken essentially. Um, and the answer on that is, well, it just depends on your measure calculation. Certain types of calculations will run into this issue and certain others will not. Um, if you could post your DAX calculations or DAX formulas, I can help, I can probably help you identify, what exactly is causing the issue. So the measure tool is the final word. It's basically what you're doing is, and I've been able to use this trick, and it's always worked from what I've been able to see. But measure tool is the final word. Basically, what you do is, basically the problem is, right? You have a measure, you put it in a table, and on the row level it's correct, but the sum is incorrect. And the reason is the total line doesn't just sum up what these numbers are, but rather it's calculating the measure in the context of all, and so you run into problems. So basically, example is, we have a single measure is sum of table value minus 50. So what you're going to end up with is, if this is 300, it's going to be 250, and this is 700, it's going to be 650, and this is 2,600, it's going to be 2,550. The problem runs into, and so if you add those up, right, it's 150 less than the total value. The problem is that when this gets calculated, it's calculating 300 plus 700 plus 2,600 and then subtracting 50. and that is the problem. Um, so the fix to that basically is pretty simple actually. You create in this case I create a table where I'm summarizing and using my M single measure. Okay, so I'm summarizing just like the way I'm going to display it. So in this case, it's pretty simple, right? I just have them in category or name right there. If you're displaying this in a table and you had lots of columns, you'd have to summarize it by all of those columns essentially. And then what I say is I use the has one value. There's some newer functions that you can use as well, but has one values always work. And say basically if has one value table name, then return the single value because I know that I'm in a row. Okay, because this has one value, either blue, green, red, for example. And then otherwise, I'm going to take my table that's summarized just like how I'm displaying it, and then I'm going to do a sum x on my m single value, right? So I'm going to sum it. So in that case, if I've got a temporary table that is basically this, then what it's going to do, it's going to sum up these, and I'm going to get the right answer. And so, which is 3,450. So that is how the basics of that work. And it's just a standard pattern that works every time. At least I've never not had it being able to get one to work. So, but just definitely want to keep an eye on your measures. The concern I have is you said it always works. Um, I guarantee there's a lot of measure totals out there that are running around out in the wild that people think are right and aren't, because it's not an obvious problem that you're going to run it. That you're going to, if you have millions of rows of data, how much are you going to do a quality check of that? So there's a lot of them out there that are wrong. I guarantee it, because people don't even realize the issue. All right, so slicer parameter in DAX. For those of you who encounter the same problem, I found a way to get around my problem. I had to change the table MSN effectity. Instead of having a table with key, min, range, max range, duplicated the lines. It's repeated. Plug one column into and it worked perfectly. I'm not exactly sure what the original problem was, but apparently I responded to this thread at some point along the way. Huh. So is this the new one? Okay, there's my reply, which is apparently why I was on this thread. Well, this would be a good opportunity to see if my kudos work. Yes, my kudos are back working. So good job. He found a solution to his problem. All right, so let's go to all topics, and we're going to see what we have out here. Fill in missing exchange rate table between dates. How to calculate the sales difference based on something. Summarizing a calculated column. Cost per conversion. Help with using one slicer for 2-day columns. Man, those are always fun. Creating a web page, and apparently at some point I'd clicked on that. I wanted that in a new tab. Okay, so fill in missing exchange rate table between date gaps. Can someone help me with an example to fill up gaps of the missing exchange rate, both European and, for example, that is not much of an example. Sure. Sure. Would be happy to try to assist, but need more information. There we go. So yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, I don't know what to do with that. I mean, you could use fill in Power Query potentially. Um, yeah, I don't know what to do with that one other than refer him to provide more information. Hello, I want to find the sales difference value based on sequential column in the report with a DAX formula. Please find the attached screenshot. Thanks in advance. Okay, I don't see an attached screenshot. Does anybody else? I do not see any attached screenshot. And he's going to get the same macro. And screenshots are terrible, generally, unless you're posting like what you expect the result to be. It's way better if you post text data, because then people can copy and paste it easily. Summarizing a calculated column, cost per conversions. This probably has a very simple answer. However, in all my research, I haven't managed to figure it out. I need to summarize cost per conversion as total cost divided by grand goal completions. Total cost divided by total goal completions. So this is the goal completions, 215. Total cost is this, so 3,038. In the below example, all rows are correct except the summarized total line sum. Summarized total line sum. Which should be about 1413 instead of the sum of its parts. Except the summarized total line, the sum. Oh, so he's talking about, is he talking about this? This number right here? Cost per conversion, okay. Should be 1413. Or is he talking about this, the CPC? Cost per conversion, cost per conversion. Well, it's a measure total problem is what it is. Be my guess. Okay, so what should be 1413? The CPC or cost per conversion column? And those are 38, they are 38, 8, 202, and 109, 7424, respectively, or something else. Regardless, okay, that's like 3 or 4 macros in a row. Always like when I can use macros to answer questions. All right, so let's see, help using one slicer for 2 date columns. I have a table with a start date column and an end date column. I was wondering if there was a way to have a slicer check to see if either is in the date range, but only count that row once. I have a table with a start date column and an end date column. Yes, okay. Slicer, check to see if either was in the date range, but only count that row once. For example, I was trying to find how many pieces of equipment were on rent for, okay. Certain month, I have a start date and end date. Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically what he wants is, so the whole start date, end date thing is time intervals. And I'll take it particularly to OBS here. But this is a trick I actually learned from reading Phil Seamark's DAX book, actually beginning DAX with Power BI. This is actually one of the very first Power BI problems I was given by a customer, which was basically help desk information. And it was just, and I was able to get to an answer, but I was never happy with how I had to, what I had to do in order to get that to work and everything. And I finally found the right way to do it after reading Phil Seymour's book. Um, and it involves the use of the word generate series, um, or generate all, basically. Let me see if I can bring that up. Again, sorry guys, it's a little slow. Um, it's coming up. Open tickets. There we go. So it's a little slow. I'm learning on this Surface Pro 4, and with all the capture, streaming, and everything, it causes problems. So here we go. So by using the generate function, I was actually finally be able to, and I give Phil full credit for this because it's an excellent book, and it is exactly by reading it I finally understood the generate. He's got some great examples of generate. So here we are with help desk, right? And now we can keep track and see, um, as they're opened and closed, I can see how many tickets are open at any particular time, right? So in February there was a lot. There were 7 tickets open. In March there were 5. In April there were 3. And it's all just based around open and close date. So by using this little tickets open function, which uses the generate function, or tickets open measure, which uses the generate function, then you can do this, and you can solve these issues with these time intervals, right, where you have opens and close dates, and or even mean time between failure. I've got a great little article on that. But you could do something around hey, the repair started at this time and ended at this time, and you can track that way how many hours you have uh, in repairs and things like that. Um, so great little way to do this dynamically using generate in that. So I refer to this one quite often because that one comes up quite a bit. All right, creating a link to a web page in a matrix table value. I was wondering if anyone has been able to do this. I am able to do this in Telerik and SSRS with an action URL placed on the table value. Can I create a link to an external URL on a table value? I know you can do it in a text box, but I wonder if you can do it anywhere else. Um, on a table value. Yes. Okay, sometimes. Yes. You should be able to do this. Although I believe it displays the entire URL. You have to tag the column or measure as a URL. Let's bring up this guy. Let's do an enter data. Okay. Delete. And so then we'll load that. And I may not be understanding what exactly this guy is going for, or this individual. There we go, page 9. Table 13. Let's put column into a table. So right now, right there, you can't click on these or anything. You can't do anything with them. But now if I go over here, I go to modeling, and see how the data category is uncategorized. So I can tag it as a web URL. It's going to think a minute, and then, ooh, now they're clickable URLs. Now, I can also do that, right, if I do a new measure. And this is where you can make things dynamic, right? I'm not going to, do dynamic, but if you wanted to, you could build your own URL string, basically. So I'll just say max of column 1. So now I've got a measure. It's just going to return me, whatever is in that row. But it'll suffice for demo purposes here. And now I can select that and select that. I can get rid of this. This is kind of annoying. But again, as you see, not clickable. But now I can do, and this was a relatively recent update, but I can also set a data category for my measure. Should think here, and now poof, now I can click these. So let's save that. As a web URL. See page 9 of attached. And it looks like I got signed out. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to sign back in. Yes, leave. Sign. Oh, and it took me back to the same spot. Yay. And now, because I am signed in, but as you can see, unlike this morning, I've got all my editing buttons back, and I can use macros, and I can tag people, and it comes up with suggestions. So pretty happy about that. All right, so we got that one knocked out. Let's see, let's update this so I can make sure that I'm not responding to things that other people have already responded to. Ho-ho! Create unique value. Issue modeling data mapping. It seems like simple, but I can't get my head around. Short. I would love to be able to link to the table using the field dimension ID, but this is only possible for me if the value is unique. Okay, in the linked Excel file, I have tried to explain the issue with two tables, the raw ERP data, the end result, which I'm hoping someone can help me create in Power BI desktop. I hope a bright mind will be able to guide me in the right direction. Perhaps someone will upload a feedback to show the steps I need in order to manipulate the data. For those who are interested, this is Dynamics nav issue, where dimensions are stored as dimension set IDs. Well, let's take a look at it. But while that is going on, that was kind of a new one. Let's see, there's some down here. Bex query. Testing direct Bex query. I don't know what Bex is. I can at least look at it, I guess. After publishing, link to app redirects to blank visualization data not updating from source table. Only category on scroller visual. Table visualization keeps aggregating data, not. That's going to depend on the data. Okay, apparently. Whew. Oh, this is how data is received from our ERP system. Dimension name, dimension value, dimension ID. This is how I'd like to model the data. Dimension ID becomes unique. Oh. Okay, so Martin, okay, so Norm, not sure I completely understand. But yeah, now that I'm thinking about that, let me take one more quick peek at that. So, dimension name is transposed to columns. Dimension value is inserted in the new row columns. Okay. Now normally I would reach out to MK. I kind of bugged her a lot lately. So let me see if I can get this one answered. I really am terrible at these. To be honest, MK is, I don't know why I waste my time, but I feel like one of these days it's gonna click. And AFDELING, AFDELING. Oh man, debit. I'm just gonna call it debit. AFDELING, debit. Omraid Salger. All right. And then dimension value. Mellum, Nord, Saug, Mellum, Nord, Salger, Anton. Alright, that's good enough. Edit. So we should be able to do this. In query editor, in theory. So he wants these to become pivot column. Use the names in the column dimension name to create new columns. Values column, dimension ID. No, we don't want a sum. Maximum. Use the names, but that's not going to be what we want, but no. And if I group by this, that's not going to work either. See, this is why. Basically, I want to pivot this to columns, and that's great, but I want to preserve this stuff. And, you know, every time MK has a trick for this. See, I knew I should have just... And I read her trick, and then I forget it every time. I'm going to call out to at MKF once again, as I think that you should be doing that in Power Query. Sorry, MK. Although it's probably not 9 o'clock out in Germany or later, so. The import 0 cal month matches no exports. Did you miss a module reference? We're testing the Bex query. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to. I try to refresh the service. I'm not going to be able to help on that one. After publishing, link to app redirects to blank page. After successfully publishing any app, the link in the yellow tile pop-up window successfully published. You now share this link. Now takes you to a blank page, even though the app landing page is specified as a report in the workspace. Yep, I don't know about that one either. And let me see here. All right, well, I'm going to call it a day for right now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.